welcome back to another Ripple video, and today we'll be talking about a new subject, physics. Now let's start off with, what is physics? Physics is basically the science of how the earth works. Ever wonder why an apple falls from the tree? That's why physics is here, at least Newtonian physics. Through Ripple, we won't be going any further than that, because frankly, you won't need it through high school. Now, there's three types of physics. First one is physics, AP Physics 1. And that's what most high schools offer as their first physics course. Through AP Physics 1, you'll learn a variety of things. Kinematics, which is basically just simple algebra, energy, which is more simple algebra, and rotational motion, which is complicated algebra. AP Physics 1 basically is physics through algebraic equations. Physics 2 deals with more complicated things, such as water, heat, and electricity. All practical things used in everyday lives. These two, at least at Torrey Pines, are very simple classes, and I definitely recommend you taking them if you're trying to pursue a STEM career. AP Physics C, however, takes calculus and applies it to AP Physics 1 and both AP Physics 2. I would argue that this is the hardest class offered at Torrey Pines, and you need a deep level of understanding in both Calculus BC and both AP Physics 1 and 2. Now that we have what physics is out of the way, let's start with the most basic forms of physics. Let's start with the easiest part, and our first lesson, Introduction to Displacement. Now, displacement might sound familiar, or difficult, but it's really just distance in disguise. Displacement is marked by the two letters, a triangle and an X. This is delta, which is a Greek letter. Delta, at least in English, means change of. X means distance. So really, what it's trying to say is that displacement is a change in distance. But what exactly is displacement? Well, displacement, again, is how much you travel from your starting point to an end point. So basically what it's saying is if I was to start at point A, or 0 meters, travel to 5 meters to point B, and then travel back down 2 meters to point C, I would only end up at 3 meters. Distance, however, would say in the sim situation, you would travel a total of 7 meters, because you first traveled 5, and then you traveled again 2. However, because displacement is the total change in distance from point A to point B, displacement calls that you would only travel a total of 3 meters. Now, you might be asking, besides from that, what's the difference between displacement and distance? Well, first of all, displacement does not equal distance. Second, displacement has both magnitude and direction. Now, what is magnitude or direction? Magnitude is how much something travels. For example, if I travel 3 meters, my magnitude would be 3. Direction is what direction is. If I'm traveling north, it is different from traveling south. Distance does not have these outcomes. If I was to travel 3 meters west and then 3 meters east, I would be traveling a total of 6 meters. Displacement, however, because it can be both positive and negative, you would take those into consideration and you would be traveling a total of 0 meters. Now, let's do some practice problems to determine if you really know the difference between displacement and distance. For example, if I am at point A and I travel 5 meters east, and then I travel 4 meters west, what is my distance and what is my displacement? My distance would be 9 and my displacement would be 1, because the total distance is how much you've really traveled, in this case 5 plus 4. However, the total distance is is the difference between where I start and where I end, and I've only traveled 1 meter. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to to the Ripple lecture, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time to talk about velocity.